So before I get into my response to the prompt, I would just like to clarify that I have my notes and the reading for this assignment pulled to the side. So if you see me looking over here or scrolling, it's the reading from the module and the notes that I've made to be able to answer this prompt and all of its different parts. So enjoy. If I were a part of a university search committee to hire a teacher for this course, I would hire Reverend Barber for the position for a myriad of reasons. The first being his ability to separate his opinion and influence from what he provides in front of an audience. Barber says, "I don't like to align the Gospels with any ideology, because that's trying to bring the gospel down to a lower form." Barber also states that it's just the gospel, a critique of all of it. When teaching or guiding a class with such heavy and interpersonal topics such as ethics and religion, the ability to stay unbiased and teach from a neutral standpoint is heavily desired by the university. We want all students to get a fair education and don't want any class to be swayed too far to one side by the professor. The second reason that we would like to offer Reverend Barber the position is because in his writing, Barber is able to effectively discuss and connect the three main components of this class: religion, ethnic diversity, and reconciliation in America. He is very well educated in regards to varying religions and their components, as proved by his time at Yale School of Divinity. He has also actively participated in movements regarding ethnic division and inequality in our country. He is very active in his community and in surrounding communities and is heavily educated in the social movements present in our country today. He has also even discussed and studied the two previous reconstructions of America in its past and believes to prove how a third reconstruction is exactly what we need as a country. His writings and beliefs and teachings and things he has studied all line up with the major components of this course, and that's very important to us. The third reason is because he is able to present his ideals in a modern and updated manner. While some of the other candidates for this position are well educated and versed in post-Civil War religious and ethnic states of our countries and ethnic diversity, religions, and reconciliation in America, we feel that Reverend Barber is able to give a more modern, informative stance on the content of the class. While we understand that this class will have a substantial historical component, and we're not ignoring that, the issues mainly addressed by the syllabus require a more modern approach and require someone who can relate to the struggles and strifes of today without becoming too connected or too interpersonal with the topics at hand. We feel that Reverend Barber is just able to feel that modern and connected but not too involved position perfectly. Before completely offering Reverend Barber the position and hiring him onto our staff, we have a few clarity questions that we would like to present and discuss with him in a very engaging manner. Our first question is, how will he be able to effectively separate himself and his opinions when teaching about not only his own religion that he has studied and practices, but also the different religions prominent in the United States, as well as how each religion is a key factor in the positive ethnic diversity America has worked so hard to establish and protect? The board understands that he will have a personal connection to his own religion. That's just common knowledge. But we want to ensure that each student gets an equal and unbiased education in regards to all religions discussed in this course. We don't want students to come away feeling like one religion is more important or more popular or deserves more attention than another. So we just would like to hear his plan about how he will be able to keep everything balanced and ensure that everything remains completely equal. We also wish to ask for a tad more clarity on regards to one of his own personal ideals in his own writing. What comes after the moral attention stage, as he calls it, in his third proposed American Reconstruction? What government policies does he believe need to be added or removed, and what exactly needs to be changed as far as our government and even our society are concerned? The board is thrilled at his enthusiasm and ideals in regards to the reconciliation portion of this course, but we are a little curious to find out what the final details in his third Reconstruction plan are. We want to know what he believes will make this be the final Reconstruction that sticks instead of its two predecessors that fell apart after a certain amount of time. We would just like to know some more specifics that go beyond what he claims are the moral attention phases. Our third and final question to Reverend Barber may seem heavily trivial at the collegiate level, but it's still something that needs to be asked in regards to a class covering a topic this sensitive. And that is, in the event of classroom discord, how does he plan to keep discussions ethical and constructive instead of becoming unregulated debates that do more harm than good? The board understands that the topics of religion, ethics, and moral beliefs can be highly sensitive and hard to navigate at certain times. So we would just like to hear his strategies for keeping this classroom a civil and productive environment geared towards education and thought. While we do encourage healthy debates in this class and we want topics of all sensitivity and social, relevance to be discussed, we want to know how Reverend Barber plans on keeping this classroom a safe and respected environment. We want to just know his plan in case something goes awry and how he plans to work with the university and work with his students in order to fix that and put the classroom back to what it's supposed to be, a place of learning. While we believe that Reverend Barber is the perfect fit for this position, we do have to discuss some major pros and cons worth noting in regards to the hiring of Reverend Barber. While we believe that the pros of hiring Reverend Barber do outweigh the cons, as stated earlier, it is still a discussion that the board feels must be added to the minutes. The pros. Let's start with them. As stated in the very beginning of this discussion, a major advantage to having Reverend Barber on staff is his ability to provide neutral opinions on some of society's most opinionated topics. Specifically in regards to religion, he is able to find a central belief of all major religions and build upon that in a positive and informative way. He states that we do have a large number who understand that the center of religious values, whether it's Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, is how you treat the poor and the least of these. This ability to connect religions without ostracizing or critiquing another is a key skill that we would like in a professor in regards to this course. We don't want a professor to lump them all and then kick one out. We don't want a professor to say that this, and this believe this, and this don't. We really want him to be able to connect them all in the key components of this course and not leave one out or say that one is better than another because of a certain central belief. The second pro that we have found to having Reverend Barber on staff is his ability to take our nation's past and apply it to ideals regarding our nation's future. Now, the third component of this class, as stated in the title, is reconciliation in America, and that's very important. He discusses the passing of the 14th Amendment and how it, quote, meant that everything in our Constitution, the right to privacy, the right to free speech, and the right to trial by jury, none of these things can be denied on the basis of skin color as they had been up to that point. And he goes on to explain why this is so important today, how every freedom we have is built upon the passage of this one amendment. Learning about the past is important in regards to educating students about the possibility of a better future, and Reverend Barber does a fantastic job of that. This class will be a large discussion with multiple prompts as to how the contents of this course apply to modern day current events, strifes, and issues, and we appreciate and love even Reverend Barber's ability to connect the past to the future in such a seamless and flawless way in most of his writings and publications thus far. Now, the board can only find one major drawback to having Reverend Barber as an employee that is worth noting, and that is his social presence and occasional call for action. While we understand that it is a person's right to express their beliefs and opinions and act upon those in a safe manner, we are wary of the Reverend's political public actions and social decisions and how they are perceived by the media. We are also a little cautious of how some of his beliefs, notably the ones included in his writing, as seen earlier, that say the final steps of his Reconstruction model encourages behaviors such as civil disobedience and protesting. Now, the board does recognize and note that he states that these should be in a non-violent manner only, but we are worried as to how some of the students or students' friends might interpret the Reverend's statements or some of his off-campus actions. Now, we understand that the Reverend personally is not responsible for what other students do. We are just aware of how some of his off-campus actions in the public eye can influence what goes on in and around his class. All of that aside, we are heavily excited to extend this invitation for employment and are looking forward to having further discussions with Reverend Barber and getting those questions to the answers we have asked back. Thank you.